So let's go over what we're going to need for the oil change. We have our tools laid out here for you so you can see what we're going to need. We have a double-sided wrench here. This is going to be a 14 millimeter for the drain plug and a 10 millimeter for a bolt that's underneath the truck that you'll be seeing. I had this little adapter cap to remove the oil filter if I need to. May not need it. I don't know. May not need. I don't know. I did the last one hand tight, so we may not need this one to take it off, but we'll give it a shot if it's too tight. And then a regular ratchet to use for your adapter and stuff like that. Always checking your service manual, user manual. We have the V6 calls for 4.5 quarts of oil. So I went out and got some Castrol Syntec. I'm switching over to synthetic and try to get a little bit better gas mileage and just make a little bit less wear and tear on the engine. And this isn't any kind of product endorsement for whatever kind of oil you like to use. If you like to use Mobil 1 or Castrol or whatever kind of oil you like, then that's fine. It calls for a 5W30 weight, which is a lighter weight of oil for the dual overhead cam motors. It flows a little bit better and easier for those motors, keeps them well lubricated. And I'm just going to use a Fram Extra Guard oil filter today. It's a good filter, for the price of the money. It has a little grip on the bottom, makes it easier to take on and off by hand if you have to do it by hand. And we're going to need your handy dandy super crusty oil change tub. Alright, here we are underneath the truck. We've got a 14 millimeter closing ratchet, and we have our drain plug right here, as you can see. So we're going to go ahead and take that out and drain all that oil out of there. Like so. Slide your crusty, trusty pan underneath there. And out comes all the old, black, nasty oil from underneath there. Make sure you don't drop your oil drain plug in the pan, which I do on occasion. And usually there's some profanities afterwards. So please try not to drop your oil drain plug into the pan. That's always a bad idea. And we'll let that drain and come back up to the front and take the oil filter off in just a second. So let's let all that good old dirty oil drain out of there. Alright, through the magic of video, our oil has all drained out. Now we're going to replace the plug. Put our plug back in there, like so. And give it a little snugging with the 14 millimeter wrench. Like that. Let's give it a little tug. Should be good. Okay. Now we need to move our pan up towards where the access to the oil filter is. Okay. Because like I said, when you take the oil filter off, it usually drains the excess oil may come from behind this skid plate back in here, and it usually drains through here off out into the pan. So just go ahead and scoop the drain pan up underneath the skid plate and the little access panel. It's not usually a whole lot of oil, but it's enough to make a big mess, and there's really no way to avoid it. I've tried different ways, and even the service guys at Nissan tell me there's really no way to keep from dropping that oil from underneath that oil filter. So here's our access panel in the front, and I've kind of cheated a little bit. I've already loosened the bolts up to make it easier to film. But these are your 10mm bolts. Just take those out with your 10mm wrench, like so, and remove your little access panel. And up inside of here is your oil filter. There it is, hiding up in there. Nissan has engineered this lovely little ramp right here to catch oil that drips out from the oil filter when you take it off. So when you loosen the oil filter, the oil's going to run down this little ramp and drain down into the pan this way. So that's what that little ramp is in there for. And it also makes it hard to get to the filter, but it's just something that has to be there to catch that oil that comes off. Sometimes the oil will drip off of here and go around this sway bar right here, and then maybe drop down behind this skid plate, and then it runs down and into the pan. So that's why it's important to have your pan scooted forward to catch any excess oil. So I'm going to get up in there and I'm going to take that filter off by hand. Hopefully it'll come off by hand. Okay, now that I've loosened the oil filter up by hand, you can see that the ramp is draining the oil out. Like I said, once you've loosened it by hand, just back it off the threads a little bit and let the oil that's inside the filter drain out. It's just excess oil that's in the filter. And let the little ramp do its thing and drain the oil out. And when you remove the filter, move it slowly, just unthread it, and then tilt it up to make sure the oil don't drain out of it. And that way you won't make a big old mess. And it's just a lot easier and a lot cleaner to do it that way. And then just slowly drop the filter out of there without spilling any. And that should be the nicest, easiest, cleanest way to do it. Alright, we have our new filter installed. What I do is a little trick is I take the filter in my hand and I go around behind the skid plate this way, and then I reach the oil filter in my hand and then I thread it on, and you can get a lot more leverage in this way than trying to go straight up through. If you have smaller arms, I guess you could reach straight up through here and put it on, but I can't do it that way. So just give it a good hand tightening. Leave this access panel off, so once you get done putting new oil in the motor, you can crank the truck up and let it run, and you can look through here and see if you see any leaks in and around the filter, and it will definitely leak if it's not tight enough. So just leave your little access panel off until you're done to the last step, and once you're confident there's no leaks, then you can put your little panel back on and be done. Alright, we're back up on top side of the engine. Our oil filler cap is right here. Let's take that off. Alright. Since we're doing it yourself today, I made a nice do-it-yourself funnel. This little soda bottle that I cut off at a 45-degree angle will fit in there perfectly, and since it's threaded on the end, it locks itself into the opening for the cap, so it doesn't go anywhere. That way you can fill your oil in, it won't fall out, it won't go anywhere. See? Pretty neat little idea, works every time. Alright, we put our 4 quarts of oil in there. I've been topping this off with the last half quart. According to the bottle, got a half quart in there, so that looks good. So we will go ahead and remove our funnel. Should pop out of there. Do a little tap on there, get rid of any excess oil. Put our cap back on. Should give a little snap when it's tight, like so. Alright, we just finished our oil change. We cranked the engine up, let it run for a second. We checked for leaks and everything looks good. So now we have our old used oil here in our pan. I always recycle my oil. I put my oil into some old water jugs or something with a nice cap on it. Just put down some paper or a bag or whatever, like I did here. When you're transferring the oil from one to the other, because I always spill some, make a mess. But never dump your oil. Just always recycle and just, save the planet and all that kind of good stuff. And that's the last step.